And that's why Tabasco sauce is amazing on burgers, chicken, and hot dogs. This is not a sponsor. I genuinely like this product. You do not have to give me any money for me to say this. Not at all. No, but seriously, I do think it's important to... I think it's important with sponsorships to have, some genuine authenticity. I think it's just good to be authentic with sponsorships. I mean, the whole point of the partnership is you are talking about the product, and I hope that means that you're genuine about it. And Tabasco, you don't have to pay me. I love your sauce. I used it yesterday on a Chipotle bowl, and the Chipotle Tabasco sauce is definitely one of my favorites, just to put on a lot of things. And sponsorship or not, it's great, and keep at it. I actually think it's one of those superfood cheat codes, because I've been grilling a lot more ever since the pandemic a few years ago. That was one of the things I got into, was just cooking more for myself. And when I started really testing this hot sauce on burgers and chicken and turkey and hot dogs, not only was it really good, but especially when I was putting it on like grilled sandwiches, I was like, okay, what's the catch here? And the fact that the nutrition facts say zero calories, is pretty nuts. Like zero sugar. It definitely feels like, what's the catch here? But it's just, a good hot sauce, and the pepper they get it from has just a good natural spice to it, and I enjoy it a lot. So one thing that's interesting about trends, right, is sometimes you wonder if it's the algorithm kind of trying to spread a message, or it's got some ambition, right? Some big campaign. What I've noticed recently is people trying to make fun of recorder, the recorder era in elementary school. So in schools across the United States, for me it was fourth grade, you kids for a segment of a semester learned recorders. And as of recently, just along with, it's been a few years with the algebra one, a lot of people like to make jokes about what's the point of, why do I have to learn algebra? How's that going to help me in life? How's that going to help me as I'm a plumber? How's that going to help me in life as I, make sandwiches at Jimmy John's, right? And I've seen a similar thing recently about, the recorder segment of elementary school, and what did hot cross buns have to help me with, huh? And it got me realizing more and more, and it's something I picked up on, but I remember in middle school how much, when I got into band, they talked about how important music is for just brain development. It's not just good, healthy child development, but just creating all these neural pathways for our brains. And I'd like to talk about the importance of general education in the near future. It's been on my mind, and this has been on my mind recently too, because I think there is unfortunately a consistent lack of respect. I think those people are just pretty vocal. Could be a pretty big vocal minority, but I have noticed the trend, and it's kind of sad that people try to disrespect certain educational elements that honestly are there for a good reason. And in the case of like learning a recorder in elementary school, I mean, that is teaching you rhythm pattern recognition, building muscle memory, being able to perform when called upon. A few weeks ago I talked about when Tiger Woods was interviewed the day before he won the green jacket, and they were basically asking if he was nervous, and he's like, because I care. There's a bit of performance anxiety, right? And music skills are big on that. And you don't have to go into music as a profession to have that skill ready to call upon, because in a lot of jobs you're going to be doing some type of presentation, whether it's to stock market owners, whether it's to your boss, or whether it's to your team. And being able to practice performance skills thanks to the recorder section of elementary school, I think, is important, because when push comes to shove, can you perform? And back then it was pretty lenient, at least for me. Of course, the teacher's not going to be strict on like tempo and all that, but there still was a little bit of a push. And, as I, again, got into band in middle school and then marching band in high school, concert band in high school. That was my favorite, was concert band. But there was a lot of fun stuff to learn in marching band too. And then I went into college to get my bachelor's in audio engineering. And I've brought up before, but my instructors at MU and UCM and MCC, in terms of music and just in general, were all pretty great. And if we're talking about music instructors, college was already a time about self-accountability and critical thinking skills, right? So they're going to tell you your exams your exam is coming up in a week. They're not, they might try to help you a little bit, but it's a lot on your personal accountability skills to determine how will I approach this exam. And music is like that, dialed up to 11 when it comes to performances. It really, I'm not going to be dramatic and say do or die, but in terms of some people's anxiety, it can feel like that. And the fun part about music is when you do that performance, being able to grasp upon what you've built and then just do your best. There's a beauty to that, because if I'm going to perform from what I've recalled in my muscle memory, my long-term memory, and let's say the song, I'm like, dun, 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 and then I go, ugh. Well, of course the crowd's gonna notice that, like on average. But if I went, da, 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 and add a little bit of like you improvise like an inflection there, that's just staying in the groove of things. And I think that's important just in life in general, because people are so worried about making mistakes. But when you do make a mistake, how do you pick yourself back up? And music teaches that so well. And so, the whole why do we have to learn hot cross buns? Honestly, it's testing how much you handle yourself when you mess up. It's testing your skills of relative to time, time and measurements and the percussive part of music, the that like compound or duple meter, stuff like that. And so with hot cross buns, that's pretty limber and how you can play tempo wise back then with elementary school, but still there is still that sequence of like da 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 da, and as a kid you're just learning. You're helping yourself with pattern recognition, which then you go into math, science, history, English, and all that has to also do with pattern recognition. Oh, I noticed a verb there. Oh, I noticed a verb here. Why is that here? Wait, that's incorrect. And then you get your test answer correct because you recognize the error. So I honestly think music is unfortunately kind of undervalued in our country, at least. It is sad to hear when music schools lose funding. And I think, unfortunately, there's definitely a correlation between music and its artistic aspects and, a corporate side that might not be seeing that value, which is tragic because, like I've been mentioning, there's so many things in music that are just essential for good critical thinking skills and pattern recognition. But also there's just that kind of artistic edge it adds to it. You enjoy a song, and then when you get into music theory, you ask, oh, wow, why do I enjoy this? And then you learn about it. You learn about key signatures. And like one of my favorite examples is Brinstar Depths from the original Metroid. It's one of my most favorite songs. And the key signature it's in is already just a naturally great key signature for heavy metal music. So then years later, when Stemage covers that song for Metroid Metal, their album, and just kind of a thing they like to do after their initial album, it's amazing. And it just feels seamless. And so I love learning. And again, that's kind of a nice one-for-one pattern recognition, is being like, oh yeah, this song sounds like it'd be good for a metal cover. It's a great metal cover. And I could go on and on about the importance of music and sound design. As an audio engineer, you really get into the mathematics of like decibels and making sure you control your gain correctly. And then those movies and games you love, whether it's Star Wars or Super Mario 64. First off, it's crazy that 1977 and 1995 both displayed amazing forms of music and sound design, respectfully. And then you understand that people had to find all these different ways to get the sound to play with the screen, which just opens up those worlds. It opens up that immersion. And so it's amazing how much music can just relate to a lot of other aspects. So yeah, there's your importance of hot cross buns, and or some people love Mary Had a Little Lamb. I think they're both good, and you know, honestly, I hope the next time you listen to a song you love, you think about why you like it. Those are the good questions to ask. I love Mondays.